The galaxy was full of fast, powerful warships. Many fleets raced through space, proud of their speed and strength. But one warship stood out, not for its power, but for its slow speed. It was a human warship called the Iron Turtle. Many aliens laughed when they saw it. "Look at that slow ship," they said. "It can never fight with us." The crew of the Iron Turtle heard the laughter. Some began to feel doubt inside. The ship moved slowly, and its engines were older than others. The captain, a calm man named Commander Ron, knew the truth. He knew that speed was not everything. But how could he make others believe? Every day the aliens mocked the Iron Turtle. When the fleet gathered for the war games, the Iron Turtle came last in the speed tests. The aliens cheered and jeered. "Slow and weak," they said. The human crew tried to keep their heads high, but deep inside, some felt the sting of the insults. One night, as the Iron Turtle moved slowly through the dark stars, something strange happened. The ship's sensors picked up a weak signal. It was faint and unusual, unlike anything they had seen before. The crew was puzzled. "Commander," said the ship's scientist, "this signal is coming from deep inside the ship." Commander Ron called the crew together. "We must investigate," he said. The crew followed him to the ship's oldest engine room. The signal grew stronger there. It seemed to come from a hidden chamber no one had opened for years. The ship's engineer, a young woman named Lyra, found an old panel. It was dusty and covered in scratches. "This is the source," she said. With a deep breath, she pressed a button. The panel slid open, revealing a small room with strange machines. The air was cold, and the lights flickered. Inside the chamber, the crew found a strange core glowing softly. It looked old but powerful. The ship's computer had never mentioned it before. "What is this?" asked Lyra. The scientist studied the core carefully. "This is an ancient power source," he said slowly. "It could change the entire ship's abilities." Commander Ron looked at the glowing core. He felt hope rising inside him. This slow warship might have a hidden power no one expected, but they had to be careful. What if the aliens found out? What if the power was dangerous? Suddenly the ship shook. An alarm sounded. "Enemy fleet approaching," the computer announced. The slow Iron Turtle was about to face its greatest test. The aliens were closing in fast, ready to attack. Commander Ron ordered the crew to prepare for battle. "Stay calm," he said. "We will show them what the Iron Turtle can do." The crew worked quickly. They activated the strange core. The ship began to hum with new energy. The aliens saw the change. Their faces turned from laughter to shock. The slow ship was no longer slow. It moved with surprising speed and power. The Iron Turtle fired its weapons with great force, striking the enemy fleet. The battle was fierce. The aliens had never seen a human warship like this. The Iron Turtle dodged attacks and returned fire with deadly accuracy. The slow ship became the deadliest threat in the galaxy. As the fight ended, Commander Ron looked at his crew. "We were mocked and laughed at," he said, "but today we showed our true strength. This warship is slow only on the outside. Inside it is a beast." The crew smiled. They knew the story of the slow warship would change forever. From now on, no one would laugh at the Iron Turtle. The stars outside the slow human warship sparkled cold and distant, but inside the Iron Turtle, a quiet storm was growing. After the first battle, the crew felt a strange mix of pride and fear. The aliens no longer laughed. Instead, they whispered about the human ship that moved like a shadow, striking without warning. But that was only the beginning. Commander Ron stood on the bridge looking at the endless blackness ahead. His eyes were sharp but tired. The ship's new power hummed quietly beneath the floor, a constant reminder of the strange core they had found. It was like a sleeping giant, waiting to be fully understood. "We have only scratched the surface," he thought. "This power is not just for fighting. It could change everything." The crew was busy preparing for what might come next. Messages from Allied fleets arrived one after another. They warned of a massive enemy fleet gathering near a nearby star system. The aliens were angry and scared of the Iron Turtle's new strength. They planned to send their best ships to destroy the human warship once and for all. Lyra, the young engineer, was restless. She spent hours in the engine room, studying the glowing core. "It's alive," she told the scientist quietly. "It reacts to our thoughts, our fears. It grows stronger when we believe in it." The scientist nodded slowly. "We must be careful. We don't fully understand what we are dealing with." One evening, the ship's communication officer picked up a strange signal from outside. It was different from the usual alien messages. It was soft, almost like a whisper. The crew gathered around the communication panel, listening carefully. The signal repeated a strange melody, a pattern that seemed familiar but was impossible to identify. Commander Ron ordered a deep scan of the area. The sensors showed nothing but empty space and drifting asteroids. Yet the signal continued, growing louder. Some crew members felt uneasy. It was as if the ship itself was responding to the sound. Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. The engines slowed for a moment. A low vibration passed through the hull. The strange core pulsed with light. The crew held their breath. For a moment, everything felt still. Then the ship moved, slowly at first, then faster. The Iron Turtle began to change. Panels on the walls shifted, revealing new technology hidden beneath. The ship's shape seemed to stretch and reshape, becoming more streamlined, more alive. The crew was amazed. This was not just a warship anymore. It was something new, something no one had ever seen. The slow ship was becoming faster, smarter, stronger. But with this change came questions. What was the source of this transformation, and what price would they pay? Outside, the stars seemed to watch in silence. The galaxy was about to witness a warship unlike any other. The slow human warship was no longer a joke. It was a mystery, a force that could change the fate of many worlds. As the Iron Turtle prepared to face its next challenge, the crew knew one thing for sure. Their journey was only beginning. The power inside the ship was alive, and it had a will of its own. The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly around the slow human warship, the Iron Turtle. The ship had changed, grown stronger in ways no one could yet understand. Its engines, pulsed with quiet energy, and strange new systems hummed softly beneath the surface. The crew could feel it. Something was awakening inside the ship, a power that was both a gift and a mystery. Commander Ron stood on the bridge, watching the stars as they slipped by. The galaxy was no longer the same place it had been before. The Iron Turtle's first victory. Rumors had spread like wildfire. The once mocked, slow human warship had become a symbol of hope for some and a sign of fear for many others. The alien fleets were restless, gathering their forces in secret, preparing for what they thought would be the final battle. But the humans were not afraid. They had something the others did not understand, a connection to their ship that went beyond metal and machines. The strange core inside the Iron Turtle seemed to respond to their feelings, their hopes, and their fears. It was as if the ship and crew were becoming one. Lyra, the young engineer, had spent many sleepless nights studying the core. She was fascinated by the way it glowed softly when the crew felt strong or determined, and dimmed when doubts crept in. "It's almost alive," she said quietly to the scientist. "Not like a machine, but like something that can grow." The scientist nodded. "If this power continues to grow, it might change everything we know about warships and space. Travel." One morning, as the ship traveled through a dense field of asteroids, the sensors picked up a strange signal again. This time it was different, clearer, stronger, but still mysterious. The crew gathered to listen, and once more the strange melody filled the ship's halls. It was haunting and beautiful, almost like a message. Commander Ron ordered the ship to follow the signal. The crew worked quickly, their excitement growing. The Iron Turtle moved cautiously through the asteroid field, its new systems guiding it expertly between the massive rocks. As they drew closer, the source of the signal appeared on the sensors. It was a small, ancient ship, drifting silently, among the asteroids. The ship looked old, broken, and forgotten by time, but its signal was strong, calling out as if it had been waiting for someone to find it. The crew prepared a team to board the ancient ship. They moved carefully, not knowing what they would find. When they entered the ship's dark corridors, they discovered strange markings and symbols carved into the walls. The air was cold, and the ship seemed alive with a quiet energy. In the heart of the ancient ship, they found a chamber filled with crystals glowing softly. The crystals pulsed with the same light as the core in the iron turtle. Lyra reached out, touching one gently. A wave of warmth spread through her hand, and she felt a rush of energy and knowledge flood her mind. "This is connected to our ship," she said in awe. "These crystals are part of the power inside the iron turtle. This ancient ship holds secrets about the origin of that power." Commander Ron realized that their journey was much bigger than they had imagined. The slow human warship was linked to an ancient force hidden deep in space. This force could be the key to saving their world, or it could bring new dangers. Commander Ron realized that their journey was much bigger than they had imagined. The slow human warship was linked to an ancient force hidden deep in space. This force could be the key to saving their world, or it could bring new dangers. As the team returned to the Iron Turtle, the ship pulsed brighter than ever before. The crew understood that they were no longer just fighting for survival. They were protecting a secret that could change the future of the galaxy. The stars outside seemed to glow with a new light. The slow warship was no longer slow in spirit. It was alive with power, mystery, and a destiny waiting to be fulfilled. The slow human warship moved steadily through the quiet space, its new power humming softly like a heartbeat beneath the metal walls. Inside, the crew felt a mix of excitement and unease. The strange core and the ancient crystals had changed something deep inside the ship, but no one knew exactly what. Commander Ron stood on the bridge, watching the stars shift with a steady rhythm. He knew that what lay ahead would test them in ways they had never imagined. The crew had been through much already: mockery, surprise, and the slow building of strength. But now, a new challenge waited beyond the dark curtain of space. The galaxy was full of unknown dangers, and the Iron Turtle was no longer just a slow ship. It was becoming something more. Lyra sat near the engine room, her eyes focused on the glowing crystals that had been brought aboard from the ancient ship. She carefully studied their patterns and pulsing light. The crystals seemed to respond not only to the ship's core, but to the thoughts and feelings of the crew. "It's as if the ship listens to us," she said softly. "It grows stronger when we believe in ourselves." The scientist nodded in agreement. "This power is different from anything we've seen. It's not just energy, it's a connection, a bond." That bond was about to be tested. One day, the ship's sensors detected a strange movement near a cluster of uncharted planets. The readings were unusual, signals that matched nothing in the database, with a pattern that suggested something living but unknown. Commander Ron ordered the ship closer, caution and curiosity guiding every decision. As they approached the planets, the crew saw something unexpected. The space around the planets shimmered with faint light, and strange shapes moved slowly in the shadows. It was as if the planets were protected by an unseen force. The Iron Turtle sent out a small probe to gather more information. The probe's cameras showed images of large, glowing structures floating in space. They were beautiful but mysterious, with patterns that resembled the crystals found on the ancient ship. The crew was fascinated. What were these structures? And how were they connected to the power inside their warship? Commander Ron gathered the crew. "We must be careful," he said. "This power we hold is strong, but we don't yet understand its limits. We face not only enemies but mysteries. Our journey has become a search for knowledge as much as survival." The ship moved closer to the glowing structures. Suddenly, a pulse of light spread through space, reaching the Iron Turtle. The ship's core reacted immediately, glowing brighter and vibrating with new energy. The crew felt a rush of warmth and strength. Lyra's eyes widened. "The crystals on our ship are linked to those structures. It's like they are calling to each other. The strange light seemed to open a path through space. The Iron Turtle began to move faster, its engines responding to the unseen force. It was as if the ship had found a new way to travel, a shortcut through the stars. As they passed through the glowing path, the crew saw visions, flashes of ancient battles, peaceful worlds, and great ships sailing through the cosmos. The visions told stories of a long-lost civilization that had once controlled this power, using it to protect the galaxy from darkness. Commander Ron felt the weight of these visions. "We are the heirs of that power," he said quietly. "It is our responsibility to learn, to protect, and to use it wisely." But even as hope filled the ship, shadows moved in the distance. Other fleets watched the Iron Turtle's journey with growing fear and jealousy. They did not understand the power the humans held, but they knew it could change the balance of the galaxy. The slow human warship was no longer slow in spirit or strength. It was a beacon of mystery and power, carrying the hopes of many. The path ahead was unknown, filled with challenges and discoveries, and the crew knew one thing for sure: their adventure had only just begun. The Iron Turtle moved through the glowing path in space, the strange energy surrounding it like a gentle river carrying the ship forward. The crew felt a new sense of hope and strength. The visions they had seen earlier, of ancient civilizations and lost knowledge, gave them a deeper purpose. They were no longer just fighting to survive. They were on a journey to uncover secrets that could change the future of the galaxy. Commander. Ron stood quietly on the bridge, his eyes scanning the stars ahead. The ship hummed softly, the core pulsing with life as if it knew what was coming next. "We must be ready," he said to his officers. "This power is not just a gift, it is a responsibility, and there are those who will try to take it from us." Lyra worked tirelessly in the engine room, studying the crystals and the ship's systems. She noticed how the core seemed to respond to emotions: hope, fear, determination. The more the crew believed in their mission, the stronger the ship became. "It's like the ship and the crew are connected," she told the scientist. "We are one." Suddenly, the sensors detected an unknown signal. It was faint but growing stronger, coming from a nearby nebula. The signal was different from anything they had encountered before. It was not a call for help or a warning, but something more complex, like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Commander Ron decided to investigate. The Iron Turtle slowly approached the nebula, its hull glowing softly in the colorful clouds of gas and dust. The crew watched in awe as the nebula shifted and moved, almost alive with energy. Inside the nebula, the signal became clearer. It was a series of patterns, light pulses, sound waves, and energy bursts that seemed to tell a story. The crew worked together, trying to understand the message. Lyra used the ship's core to help decode the signal, the crystals glowing brighter as they responded. The story revealed by the nebula was incredible. It spoke of a lost planet, where the ancient civilization had first discovered the power the Iron Turtle now held. This planet had been hidden for centuries, protected by the very energy that now surrounded the ship. The message warned of a great challenge ahead. The power was a gift, but also a test. Only those who were worthy could fully control it and use it to bring peace and balance. The crew realized that their journey was not just about fighting enemies or escaping danger. It was about proving themselves worthy of the power inside the ship. As the Iron Turtle moved deeper into the nebula, the ship's systems began to change again. New technologies emerged from the core, systems that seemed to think and learn on their own. The ship was evolving, becoming smarter and more capable. But with this growth came new questions. What was the true nature of the power they carried? How far would it take them? And who would try to stop them? Outside the nebula, distant fleets watched. They saw the Iron Turtle glowing with strange energy and growing stronger with every passing moment. Fear spread among the aliens. They knew that this slow human warship was no longer just a ship. It was a force that could change the galaxy's future. Commander Ron gathered his crew. "We are the guardians of this power," he said. "Our journey is difficult, but we must stay strong. We carry the hopes of many worlds." The crew stood together, ready to face whatever came next. The slow human warship was no longer slow or weak. It was a symbol of courage, mystery, and strength. And the stars waited, watching the next chapter of their story unfold. The Iron Turtle sailed quietly through the endless sea of stars, its hull glowing softly with the power that had grown inside it. The crew felt the weight of their journey. They were no longer just explorers or soldiers. They were protectors of a secret, keepers of a power that could shape the fate of the entire galaxy. Commander Ron stood on the bridge, his eyes steady as he looked out into the unknown. The ancient message from the nebula had given them hope, but also a warning. The power inside their ship was a test, and soon they would face the challenge that could decide everything. Lyra and the scientist worked closely together, trying to understand the deeper connection between the ship's core and the crystals they had found. The ship seemed to be alive in a way no one had expected. It responded to their thoughts, their hopes, and even their fears. One evening, as the Iron Turtle traveled near a distant star system, the ship's sensors picked up a strange energy signature. It was powerful but calm, like a heartbeat in the darkness. The crew gathered on the bridge, watching the readings with growing curiosity. The signal led them to a hidden world, covered in mist and surrounded by a shimmering shield of light. The planet seemed untouched by war or time, a place of peace and ancient wisdom. Commander Ron ordered the ship to land carefully. The crew stepped onto the soft ground, feeling a strange calm wash over them. The air was fresh and filled with a gentle glow. It was a world that seemed to hold answers. As they explored, the crew discovered ruins covered in strange symbols and glowing crystals. The place spoke of an ancient civilization that had once guarded the power they now carried. This civilization had used the power not for war, but for peace and growth. Lyra touched one of the glowing stones and felt a rush of knowledge fill her mind. She saw visions of the past, people working together, creating great cities and protecting the galaxy with wisdom and kindness. The crew understood their true mission. They were not just warriors. They were guardians of a legacy. The power inside the Iron Turtle was a gift meant to bring balance, not destruction. As they prepared to leave the planet, a gentle voice echoed in their minds. It was a message from the ancient guardians, reminding them to stay true to their path and to use their power wisely. The crew returned to the Iron Turtle with renewed purpose. They knew that challenges would come, but they were ready. The ship was no longer just a warship. It was a symbol of hope and unity. Far across the stars, others watched, some with fear, others with respect. The slow human warship had become a legend, not because of its speed or weapons, but because of the strength of its heart and the courage of its crew. Commander Ron stood once more on the bridge, looking out at the galaxy. The journey was far from over, but he smiled. The slow human warship had proven itself. It was dangerous not because of violence, but because it carried the power to change everything. And as the Iron Turtle sailed into the stars, the crew knew one thing for certain. Their story was just beginning.